Krista are the wideouts. Michael Dupree and Gerald Frierson will do the honors in the backfield as they start off in an I formation. 1st and 10 from their own 30. A mishap in the backfield. The ball comes free, and it looks like the Bees have fallen on it. And let's see, yes they have at the 25-yard line, Anthony Salerno, and that was a miscommunication in the backfield.
Also, the pressure with Aker filling the gap and Marion Reeves spending some time in the backfield with the Ferris quarterback.
And we didn't get a chance to look at the Bayonne defense. We will in a bit. Now let's take a look at the Bayonne offense. Centers Tony Freed. The guards Phil Saladin and Chris Holinsky. Sean Holinsky in the tackle along with Dave Chiaffo. Kurt Bullwith, the tight end. Joe Christopher gets the start at quarterback after a rough start last week in a full house backfield. Darius Hill, Tom Kachansky. And it is Marion Reeves who leads the way for the first ball carrier of the game. That is Darius Hill to the 22-yard line. A gain of 2, and it'll be 2nd down and 8. Now a peek at the defensive unit for the Bulldogs. Up front, left to right, is Michael Dupree, Jermaine Gonzalez, Chris Candelario, Ishmael Harrigan, and Team Wright. The linebackers, David Campbell and Brandon Magwood. And across the defensive backfield is Eric Douglas and Gerald Frierson are the corners, and Danny Madera and Jarvis Bradford, the safeties. As Christopher on the option keeps it around the right end, he has a head of steam, and he's tripped up at the 12-yard line, but not before he picks up a Bayonne first down.
Well, John, the Bees came out in that particular play in an I with double tight end set.
57 seconds gone by here in quarter number 1. And it is first down for Bayonne at the 12-yard line. Isaac Olden, who had stepped in for that play, runs to the sidelines as the Bees operate out of the I formation. Running to the short side of the field, flag goes down. Christopher gives it up the middle to Kachansky. He picks up 2, maybe 3 yards, but this one might be coming back, bud.
It looks that way, John. The Bees were a little anxious, jumped before the ball was snapped.
So that'll push the ball back 5 yards, and of course, bud, you don't want to see a situation where you've gotten a turnover, you've picked up a first down, and now on 1st and 10, you operate in the reverse, and that makes it a 1st and long situation.
No, you're absolutely right. Hopefully they'll get rid of the jitters in the opening drive.
Recall last week in a 27-6 loss to the Union Farmers, Joe Christopher struggled early on handling the football. One, a botched handoff, and then an ill-fated pitch. One of those leading to a 46-yard touchdown return. As it is Hill along the right side, he tries to bounce outside, and he loses a football along the far sideline, and the Bees have turned it right back over to the Bulldogs.
Well, John, it seems to be an early season problem for the Bees. We're going to have to not do that as often over the next couple of games. You have to chalk it up to, in some cases, inexperience, and in other cases, early season jitters.
And unlike last week, well, let's take a peek first at the Bayonne defense. Up front, it's Kachansky, Reeves, Saladin, Salerno, and Bullwith. The linebackers, Sean Arter starting for Terrence Glover, along with Tony Freed. Duval Cheatham, one of the corners, as they swing one out to the right side, and that's Cheatham, who immediately sees action out in the flat, and he stops that for a gain of 2. Also, a corner on the left side, Darius Hill, and in the defensive backfield, Jesse Mays, along with number 23 from Bayonne,
Joe Christopher.
Joe Christopher. I always get Joe Christopher and Alex Parker mixed up as you take a look at the play, but Duval Cheatham right there to make the play.
Duval's a very versatile athlete. He can certainly handle himself out in the corner.
And it is number 21, Alex Parker, who is not starting. Very similar build to Joe Christopher. So from time to time, we credit some things that don't belong to either one of the men, and sometimes that works out to their advantage. But not in that case. Is now going backwards. No room to run at all for Michael Dupree. It's just stuffed up in the middle by Phil Saladin and also Salerno as well as Freed.
So the strategy appears to be to fill the gap with one linebacker, Sean Arter, and allow Freed to take advantage of Arter shooting the gap.
And it's a 3rd down and 7 yards to go for a first down. The Bulldogs need to get it out past the 27-yard line here on their second possession. 3 minutes gone by. Quarter number 1 coming to you from the Don. No score. Bulldogs and the Bees, and an open receiver had found the soft spot, but unable to hook up was Jackson. The man getting open was Humberto Barbosa, but that's a play that was open.
Yes, it was. The Bees are in a cover 2 look with one man free. In other words, it looks zone, but it is man-to-man, one man free in the back.
And the man free for the Bulldogs, of course, is Barbosa, but Jackson not able to get the football to him, and he would have had enough for a first down. But instead now it'll be a punting situation for the Bulldogs. From the 9-yard line, it'll be Dupree, and he has to get that one away very quickly. Jesse Mays comes over to give it a look at midfield, and a very gratuitous bounce for the Bulldogs. That was not a very good punt, but about a 16, 17-yard roll, doubled the yardage on that one.
Well, the Bees showed what defense is made of, as they did last week.
Doing a great job last week against the Bees. By a score against the Farmers, 27-6. And although they came away with a loss, certainly performed very well. And looking to build on it this week. Next week they'll be taking on the Memorial Tigers, a team that many feel can contend in the National Conference, but St. Peter's Prep will have a chance to give them a real litmus test. And Glover with his first action bounces off a tackle, then another. A hard-fought 3-yard gain for Terrence Glover on his first carry of the evening.
Yeah, well, the Bees came out, John, in a power I with a double tight end set, giving the ball to Glover right up the middle, part of the power offense.
And do you give any thought as a coach to put Glover in there, maybe giving him an opportunity to act as a decoy, or should they just give him that ball right away?
Now, if you're going to have Glover in the backfield, you give him the ball as well.
Well, you don't mess around, and Glover is warm now, and a flag goes down. Probably too many men on the field, illegal substitution. So it was Olden who was late getting off the field, but part of getting off the field late also means that someone might have been getting on the field late, so not absolutely positive. Second penalty against the Bees, the second of the 5-yard variety, but hurts nonetheless, so a 2nd and 7 is now a 2nd and 12. Clock ticking, 4 minutes gone by, quarter number 1. John Hester and Bud Demellier along with Jim Burton, Francisco Saldana and the crew from the Don, on a very poor decision by Christopher Glover with some real hard running, but going the wrong direction. He swarmed under at the 35-yard line.
So, John, the Bees came out in a trip set with Kachansky in the slot, and then tried to sprint out with the pitch, trying to gain the corner. It obviously didn't work in this set.
And it's played, as you can tell, very well defensed. Christopher, the dive taken away, and then he, of course, was defensed well. And then even, I guess in a situation like that, Bud, you have to just hold on to that football because nothing was really open.
You're running an option offense. Decision-making is a key. But you'll see that formation more times throughout the game.
Trying to spread things out. Now they'll run out of the I formation. A 3rd down and more than 20 to go for a first down. They're going to try the, oh, check that. That's a dive right up the middle. Didn't fool anyone in a white shirt. Got maybe back to the line of scrimmage. And it will be a 4th down and long situation. And give credit to the Ferris Bulldogs. They turned the ball over on their first possession. These had it operating deep in their territory inside the red zone. And then they force a turnover. Get a heck of a punt. Nice bounce, and now they have a chance to get the ball in pretty good field position. Darius Hill now standing back in punt formation. And the Ferris Bulldogs burn their first time out of the first half. We want to remind the fans at home watching this contest that Panama Post Savings Bank, again, a part of our broadcast. They are continuing in their support of Bayonne Athletics. We will award a player of the game, both offensively and defensively, for the Ferris Bulldogs and the Bayonne Bees at the conclusion of this contest, with each student athlete receiving a plaque bearing their name and the date of tonight's game, courtesy of Panama Post Savings Bank. And of course, we want to send our thank you out to Judy McAuliffe and Mr. Bill Campbell, as they have been integral. And but of course, you know, being active in the community, how important it is to get support from the businesses in the community.
You don't get support for businesses, John. It becomes very difficult to maintain and improve programs at the high school level, given the expense.
And they help defer the expense, and thanks to them, some awards going out to some kids. And it was Kurt Bullwith and Glover last week that guarded the award. And Glover hit as he kicked. Check that, Hill hit as he kicked. Gets off a real good kick, and it's returned to the 38-yard line, maybe the 40 now. So field position definitely has swung in the favor of the Ferris Bulldogs.
John Darius has really improved as a punter from last year. In fact, if you remember, the first punt against Union last week was a boomer. They got the Bees out of trouble.
And that actually swung the pendulum in favor of the Bees. They were a little bit back on their heels after the first turnover, but that gave them some breathing room.
Yes, it did, John. Yes, it did. Punting is so important. You look at the good programs in Peters and Leesburg, and they always have very good punting.
Special teams a key. Tom Kachansky doing an excellent job in his second year as a special teams coach. Now on a 1st and 10 from just short of the 40-yard line. And another flag down. Couldn't tell if somebody jumped early or maybe there was too much time coming out of the huddle. And let's see what referee Fran Neville tells us. Offside against the team in Garnet. Fran Neville, by the way, the referee for tonight's contest. Keith Kalova, the line judge. Ken Tichy, the umpire. Fran Delaney, the back judge, and the linesman, Steve. Looks like Steve Dog. And the timer, Vic Montalari. And it's always great to have an official timekeeper. And officially 6:20 left to go, first quarter, no score. The Bulldogs with the football. And the ball comes loose again. Free football picked up by Kuchansky. And the Bees have the football at the 29-yard line.
Well, John, the Bees are selling out against the run. They're putting at least 8 men, sometimes 9 in the box. Very difficult to run against their defense. They're making penetration and causing the fumble.
And that one, a clean exchange. Let's see. It was Bullwith who got the right hand.
Yes, it was. It was Bullwith.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Bayonne. And just talk a bit about the development of Kurt Bullwith from last year to this year in Auburn.
Kurt's a real good one. As we like to say in B country, as a Division I body.
Certainly does, and he is working hard to make it come true. And Deval Cheatham seeing his first action, swings one out to Bullwith, completed the 20. Bullwith breaks a tackle to 15. He's pushed forward down to the 12-yard line. It'll be a first down for the Bayonne Bees, and Deval Cheatham making things happen behind the center.
And Bullwith has hands too, John. He has hands too.
And you really look at him as an excellent blocker, a heck of an end. If he can ever complete the package and hold on to the football, he'd be really, really something.
He is going to be really, really something. He comes from a football family. His father played at Bayonne High School, starred for Bayonne High School, and went on scholarship to Clemson University. So it's in his blood, as they say.
Little shake and bake move there at the end, and now shake and bake from Cheatham. And he's able to fall forward and pick up 5 yards as the Bees have again penetrated inside the 10-yard line, inside the 8. It'll be second down and about 5 yards to go for a first down. See big Kurt Bullwith, his dad Tom, an assistant coach throughout his first 3 years here at Bayonne, leaving in the preseason prior to this season, but Kurt staying on. And of course, Tom, a big fan of Coach's Corner and a big fan of the programming we do at Cablevision, so we hope that we'll still have him in the stands watching and certainly on TV.
Looks like Bayonne's going to be in a split set here. Isaac Golden is in on the left side.
Under 5 minutes to go. Cheatham under pressure, unloads it for Bullwith, makes the catch, and Bullwith will go in for the touchdown. An 8-yard touchdown pass from Cheatham to Bullwith. So Bullwith really having a heck of a first quarter, forces the fumble, and then 2 pass catches, the second one leading actually is a touchdown. As you take a look again, Cheatham under a lot of pressure, and then the thing I noticed about Bullwith, taking his time catching the football before he runs with it.
He has very good hands, good football sense on the field.
So the first extra point attempt of the season for the Bees, and it is blocked. Not much of a chance for the Bees to get that one up and through, and it was Jesse Mays at Pacatires. Trying that extra point. You can see the pressure from the outside. Seemed like a good enough snap and hold. Maybe the kicker just a little bit slow getting up to the football. And Michael Dupree, a heck of an athlete in his own right.
Yeah, John, the timing was off on that. It was trailing too much time when the ball was placed down, and by the time the kicker got to the ball.
So the Bees have drawn first blood as you take a look at John Rickard and his defensive coordinator, Chris Benicia, rolling his eyes skyward. It's something John Rickard had just mentioned to him, but good to be on top. First lead of the season for the Bees. In last season's encounter between the Bulldogs and the Bees, on the artificial surface down at Bill Cochran Stadium, the Bees trailed 14-6 before coming from behind to win by a score of 20-14. So much better to start from in front than from behind.
Always better to be in front than behind. But John, last year Ferris had a more seasoned team. This is a very young team, mostly sophomores. So it's sometimes difficult to play on the road with a young team.
Joe Blasucci with his work cut out from this season, but has already mentioned that there's been marked improvement. A 42-6 shellacking by the Lincoln Lions on opening day, but they improved somewhat against Plainfield last week, and feels that if they can improve on a weekly basis, they can pick up a couple of wins. And as Bud mentioned, this team with only 4 seniors and really riddled with sophomores, and that's a loose football at the 31, and Johnny on the spot for Ferris was Tariq Franklin. That was a nice recovery. Very dangerous play by Ferris.
Looks like some of the Ferris ball players have a case of the nerves. Again, when you're a young team, it's difficult to play on the road early in the season.
Now down by a score of 6-0, and ball seemed to hit him right in the, I guess, the wrong place, the hands.
Well, the kickoff was end over end. And the Ferris player never got his hands on the right end, John.
Yeah. The oblong football can cause a lot of problems. So now Jackson operating out of the eye. 2 wideouts to either side. And a good block along the right side, but still not much in the way of a push forward for the offensive line. It was Friars who had to carry. Someone had a good kick block out on the right end. But still only a yard or two. And that makes it second down and 8 yards to go. And it was Bullwith who actually got dragged down, but the initial contact, nice job by Michael Dupree. Stood up Bullwith, who's been a force in this first quarter.
Yes, he has. Dupree looks like he has the size to play with Bullwith. We'll see what materializes.
As we near the 4-minute mark, quarter number 1, 6-0, the Bees on top, thanks to an 8-yard touchdown pass from Cheatham to Bullwith. Jackson to throw the ball downfield, and the receiver zigged, and Jackson thought he would zag, and he throws that to no one in particular, an incomplete pass. And it will now be third down and 8, and but that's one of the things you always say, throw the football early on, but now if you incomplete, or if you throw an incomplete pass, now you have 3rd and long.
Well, I don't think Jackson has much of a choice. It's going to be very difficult to run on the Bees. He completes a few passes. He may open up the defense.
3:52 remaining here, quarter number 1, on a gorgeous evening for football from the Don. All the sights and sounds of what we've become accustomed to here in Cablevision. John Nagel on the public address, and the sound of a late season baseball game on the radio as that went through the hands of Bertil Balbosa, and it'll bring up a punting situation again for the Ferris Bulldogs.
Well, the Ferris quarterback, John, may be having trouble reading the secondary for Bayonne. As I said before, they come out looking like it's a zone, but it's actually a man-to-man. And he may be having trouble picking that up.
Trying to throw a few wrinkles at the young quarterback, only a sophomore. You can see him back there, though. He's definitely got the size, has good poise, hasn't hooked up yet, but a long time to go now. And a low kick, end over end. And again, takes a nice bounce for Ferris, but Mays will field it at the 37, works his way up across the 45, and he's dragged down at the 48-yard line, so one hopper taken by Mays, and an 11-yard return, and the Bees will start off near midfield with a 1st and 10.
It was a pretty good return by Mays. He has some big shoes to fill. Last year, Jamal Lord returned punts for the Bees, and everyone knows that Jamal is now in Nebraska on a full scholarship. So he has big shoes to fill. As I have very big headphones or headsets to fill. Mr. DeGiorgio is otherwise occupied tonight. It's my pleasure to fill in for him.
And it's my pleasure to have you join us. And since Paul lost all that weight, looks so good, you would have had a big belt to fill, but not so this year. And Glover trying to get outside, and this Ferris defense doing a great job getting to the outside, not really allowing the running game to get on track. You got to remember now, it's 2 turnovers that really put the Bees in position to go in for their scores.
John, the Bees have to establish the power game to make their option game work. And so far, they've only been successful on one short series in doing that.
And you see nothing doing in the middle as Harrigan stood his man up. And then Hakeem Wright was right there to pin him in, and Eric Douglas got a helmet in as well. So under 3 minutes remaining, quarter number 1, 6-0, Bees on top. Bees operating from right to left on your television screen. And it will be Hill who dances in the middle, gets across midfield into enemy territory, but really not much of a gain. And it will make it 3rd down and 6.
The Bees have to be committed to that power game. They have to take control of the middle before they can get control of the outside. And I'm sure John Rickett will continue to pound the ball inside to open up his outside game.
It was Brandon Magwood who actually made an excellent play. There was a bit of a hole in the middle, but coming up from his linebacker spot, Brandon Magwood filling the hole nicely and putting the kibosh on any more yardage. So 3rd down, and we'll call it a short 7 for 1st down. They need to get to the 43. Cheatham double pumps, and that one knocked away by Magwood, intended for Glover. And it'll make it a 4th down situation, and Darius Hill will come in to do the punting for the Bayonne Bees. So neither team really doing too much on offense.
No, John, you're right, except for the turnover. That put Bayonne in a good field position. The score could easily be 0-0 at this point.
So Bayonne did a nice job capitalizing. On the first turnover, they turned it right back over. Darius Hill with the fumble, but second time around, they cashed in, and Hill with an excellent kick. This will drive him all the way back to the 11. Fumbled. Now heading back into his own end zone. Kachansky gives chase. Chance for a safety, and he just barely gets out of the end zone. What a wild play. That was Jose Diaz. And Hill drove him all the way back, and Diaz, I think, lost track of where he was.
You may be right, John, but the key to this play was the punt. And as we spoke about before, Darius has improved greatly since last year. And more times than not, we'll be getting off punts that cover that much yardage.
And you see Diaz, by the time he picks his head up and gathers himself, Tom Kachansky in hot pursuit with Jesse Mays waiting along the goal line and just able to get it out of the end zone. That punt was a good 35 to 40 yards in the air. And as punters love to do, he turned that one over. And you probably heard in the background, John Nagel yelling, a booming punt, and that's exactly what it was. Buck 49 left to go first quarter, right up the middle. Michael Dupree is stopped almost immediately, might have gotten a yard.
Bayonne has to keep Ferris pinned up, hope for a short punt, put him in good field position.
That's Marion Reeves who makes the play.
Marion's been very active so far in the first quarter. Spent a lot of time in Ferris backfield.
Buck 15 left to go first quarter. Bees on top by a score of 6-0. And they have the Bulldogs pinned in on their own end. And again, they try it right up the middle. Breaking a tackle. I think that was Dupree. Very tough yardage. Not really getting much, but giving his team a little bit of breathing room. Out to the 4-yard line.
It's a big play for Ferris. They have to not make a mistake this deep in their own territory.
Probably lend to a conservative approach. 40 seconds remaining first quarter. The wind would appear to be in Ferris's face at the moment. 3rd down and 8. They need to get out past the 12-yard line to pick up a first down. Otherwise, they'll have to punt from the shadow of their own goal. Jackson back to pass under pressure. and tries to unload it. It'll be intentional grounding, and that should be a safety for the Bees.
That play did not fool the Bees, John. Ferris came out and two wide receivers set, and the Bees were ready.
And intentional grounding from the end zone, as you see, Salerno should get credit for that play. Let's see. And it's a safety. It is a safety. So, Anthony Salerno, give him credit for making the play in the end zone. And it's now an 8-0 game. So the punt turns out to be an even bigger play than the Bees could have imagined. Top that off with the fact, Bud, that they're probably going to get the football in good field position, as you see John Ricker.
They will get it in good field position, John. This could be a turning point in the game. Gives Bayonne a major advantage. Now the question is whether Coach Rickett opens up the offense or conversely tries to establish his outside game by pounding the ball up the power alley.
So it's now 8-0 Bayonne. Still in the first quarter. See the young ladies that make up the Bees.
They put a lot of effort into it. They practiced all summer. Basically practicing gymnastics. I see them constantly. They work as hard or harder than any other athlete does playing any other sport, and they should be commended. They also win quite a few county championships.
Competing in tournaments, as cheerleaders do. And now it'll be Dupree who will kick off from the 20-yard line, so the safety really a big defensive play. And Jesse Mays will stand at about his own 30-yard line and should have a chance to return this football. 22 seconds remaining, and the Bees have taken advantage. And it is Dupree, a very short kick. Bees better turn around, and very wisely the football is smothered at the 45-yard line. Let's see who that was getting up. One of the upbacks.
Could have been JoJo Christopher. I didn't quite catch the number, but it looked like number 23.
It might have been Pete Ogorek. Might have been Pete Ogorek. Either way, the Bees with excellent field position, 20 seconds remaining, and the football, and an 8-0 lead. Bees with some last-second substitutions, and now they're going to have to call timeout. A little bit of confusion in the huddle for the Bees, and that's the second time they've had a problem getting people in and out. First time resulting in a penalty, and this time they have to use one of their precious 3 timeouts.
There has been confusion, and I'm sure Coach Rickett is not happy about it. And have a conversation in the locker room at halftime.
We want to let all the fans, all the Bayonne Bee fans out there watching, and all high school football fans, let you know that next week, the Memorial Tigers, the highly touted Memorial Tigers, pay a visit to the Don on October 1st, Friday night, 7 o'clock. And all fans who come and bring a food item, a non-perishable food item, or a garment of some sort, a jacket, clothes, anything that can assist the flood victims in Bound Brook will be admitted into the contest for free. That's Bayonne Memorial, free admission to the stadium. Anyone who helps support the flood victims of Bound Brook, and again, in the way of clothing, non-perishable food, anything that you can do to pitch in. Really a dire situation in Bound Brook, and seems so far away, but it's really not. And it will be sponsored by the Bayonne cheerleaders, and as Buddy D mentioned a little bit earlier, as we took a look at the cheerleaders and the hard work they do at the games, it's kind of the behind-the-scenes things that you don't see, and it will behoove everyone to show up here with something to help out.
None of they're good athletes, they're good citizens, John.
And the Hurricane Floyd, we escaped with very little damage, but Bound Brook not so lucky. Kurt Bullwith jumped a little bit early, and that'll cost the Bees 5 yards.
Yes, next week is Memorial, John, the highly touted Memorial Tigers. We certainly respect them, but they are coming to be country.
And they will definitely be softened up whether or not they win the football game, which I'd be surprised if they did against Prep, but you know that they're going to have some bruises coming in, so the Bees might be catching them at the right time. And the Bees struggled a little bit up at Miller Stadium last year. That was a tough contest with Jonathan Robinson and the boys.
Yes, it was, at least for the first half.
The Bees onto their 2-1 record last season. And Cheatham tackled at midfield, loses about a half a yard. And the clock ticking with 8 seconds remaining here, quarter number 1. And that should be the final play of what seemed to be a very long first quarter. As you see Cheatham again, not much doing. And Magwood again there to make the play. So the horn signals the end of the first 12 minutes. 8-0 the score. The Bees on top. Will be back with the check that second down play. If flag goes down, should be a face mask. It's going to go against David Campbell, and that play was hemmed in for a loss. Well, check that. I stand corrected. A holding penalty against the Bees. So Cheatham hemmed in, and what do you do now, buddy D? You can have it, well, second and you can have it third and about 18 or second and 25.
Well, we'll see what the Ferris coach does. I want to second guess it. But he needs to put pressure on the Bees offense. So taking a penalty was a good call. He seems to be having trouble up front with this Ferris defensive set, which is a 5-2, but sometimes looks like a 5-4.
Well, whatever the case, everybody flying to the football for the men in white. And except for a couple of turnovers and the Bee defense.
8 men in the box.
And Cheatham trying the left side, and no siree, Dupree is there. He fought off the block of Chaffo, makes the tackle to 35, loss of 3 on the play, so Lazucci's call paying off now, so it's going to be a third and a country mile. Give credit to Gerald Frierson. He didn't actually make the play, but he was out there and forced him inside.
He sent it back inside, that's correct.
It is 3rd and 31. The Bees need to get from their 35 to the opposing 35.
It's a 5-2 defensive set, but sometimes they're rolling up the cornerbacks.
Might not be a bad time to call a draw. Instead, they'll sprint out left. Cheatham wants it all.
Has him open.
And it's caught by Mays at the 32-yard line. And Duval Cheatham is down back at the 27-yard line. And Duval stood into the final second and threw a laser beam over the middle. And may just have the wind knocked out of him. Hopefully that's the case. And a perfect tight spiral. Jesse Mays with a nice catch, and that was really the only spot he could have put that football in order for him to make the catch.
It's a very good pass. It was Duval Cheatham on a little bit of a waggle in that particular play. Moving pocket.
And one thing you have to give John Rickard a lot of credit for is you receive time and time again, and I know that I'm relatively conservative and nobody really gives a hoot what I am in terms of football coaching because I'm not the coach, but thought right there, 3rd and 30, seems like it's almost impossible to pick up. Maybe run a little screen, little delay, maybe get some of the yards back and punt, but no siree, he goes for it, and it pays off as he picks up the first down.
Oh, once again, when you're confident in your kicking game, you can take those chances. If the play is not successful, Darius has he's been punting, will get you out of trouble, John.
And Cheatham seems to be favoring his right arm. And judging from that replay, it is in slow motion. Thought that was kind of a late hit because he had unloaded the football and seemed as though the defender would have enough time to pull up. And Cheatham does not look good right now, as you can see John Rickard and assistant Bob Devitt.
Looks more like his left hip. He looks to be limping and holding the left side.
banged up, whatever the case.
And his right arm.
The right arm and the left hip. The daily double, and that's not the kind you want to hit.
Absolutely not. Not that I'm a betting man anyway.
Not that we'd ever find you at OTB, but with a minute 40 gone by, second quarter, JoJo Christopher makes his return. And he'll give it to Terrence Glover's got a hold at 25. First down, Bayonne, down to the 19-yard line.
If the Bees establish that power game, it's going to be a long night for Ferris, John.
And that was the first step toward establishing him. As you see Glover searching for the hole. Nice block on the play. Kicking out on the play was Chris Halinsky. And then Glover did the rest.
One half of the Halinsky team on our offensive line, two brothers.
Chris and Sean out of the eye. And if it succeeds, try it again, and it does. Succeeds again. Another first down carry, and it'll be first and goal to go for Bayonne.
That was a nice juke step by Glover to take him outside for that game. Glover is a very important piece of the Bayonne offense.
That he is, missing the tackle. Aramis Cyprian had a chance. Over pursuing the play was Hakeem Wright. The defensive end stepped up, came up too far upfield, and Glover just came inside. So it'll be first and goal to go from the 8-yard line. Again, they'll run out of the eye. Nevin, they swung out to the right side, and they'll try it up the gut again. It's Glover. Gets across the 5-yard line down to the 4. Where it'll be second down and goal to go.
Glover is very, very versatile. Coach Rickett uses him in the fullback spot as well as the tailback spot. When he runs fullback, Darius Hill sometimes runs tailback.
Giaffo with a good push on the left side. Tony Freed also there to help out. Phil Saladin. And it'll be second and goal to go from just inside the 5-yard line. Jesse May swung out to the far side by himself. And it will be Glover, right side. He's tripped up and knocked down at the 4-yard line. Right there was David Campbell to make the play for the Bulldogs.
Glover appears to be the workhorse on this particular drive. Running out of the fullback spot. Now JoJo Christopher and Glover have not worked in practice quarterback to fullback as much as quarterback to tailback.
And now a third down and goal to go situation from just inside the 5 again, and chance for Ferris's defense to make a big play here. Only down by a score of 8-0. 8:15 left to go in the second quarter out of the full house backfield. Play action fake. Christopher looking in the end zone. He's got bullets and it's picked off in the end zone. Along the left sideline, forced out of bounds. First down, Ferris. Gerald Frierson with the pickoff.
Saladin may have saved 6 on that particular tackle, John. They tried Bayonne come out in the power I with a fake to the fullback, attempting to find it looked like the tight end in the end zone, and the timing was off.
Bulwith appeared to have at least a step on the defender. Frierson, however, made up some at the end and ball slightly underthrown.
John, it's just like catching a train. When the timing's off, you miss the train.
And you have to stand on the platform, and thankfully Saladin didn't, because as Buddy D mentioned, he prevented 6 the other way. So Ferris steps up and puts an end to a Bayonne drive. And making the play in the backfield is Bulwith. Salerno came in there to help out. Frierson, who just made the big defensive play, is squashed on this one. He loses 8.
Well, the Bees may have lost possession. They didn't lose much in terms of field position. It's the defense's responsibility to hold Ferris and maintain that field position for the offense. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
That's right, and the Bulldogs seem to be intent on proving that saying true. And of course, the old saying, go with what got you there, and if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what the Bees did with Glover in a couple of successive first down runs. Now on second down and long, the flip outside, that's a lateral. That is a lateral play, and it's picked up at the 2-yard line. Diaz, I don't know if I'd say he had the wherewithal to pick it up. I don't know if anybody realized what was going on. That was a lateral.
Well, you did, John. You said it. You called the lateral right from the get-go. That was caused by Anthony Solano. Anthony is a sophomore, had a great game in a losing effort against Union last week.
First full-time action for Anthony, having not played very much last year. And let's take a look at this play again. A lot of pressure up the middle, Jackson, and he throws this ball backwards. Actually threw that one very close to the end zone, and then it stopped. See, all the players very casually stopped, thinking it was an incomplete pass, but the referee never signaled incomplete pass. And a 3rd down and long. Snap is, snap was fumbled, throwing it deep down the field is Jackson. And he had a man who had a step. It was Akeem Wright, covered by Christopher, but not a bad throw that time.
Quarterback threw that ball 45 yards in the air. Just missed the connection. B's defense held. B's defense is very quick. They go to the ball. They slant very well.
Jackson got that one away under great duress, and now Wright, who has almost been blocked 2 times in his own end zone, and this one a much better kick, and a fair catch signal by Jesse Mays at the 34-yard line. Give Mr. Wright a lot of credit. He looked a little sloppy on the first couple, but that one, he great hang time, handled it well, and got it off quickly. No return for Mays.
On the stat sheet, that'll show as 35 yards, but it was at least 40 in the air, John.
6:04 left to go here, quarter number 2. Want to remind you at the conclusion of this contest, Buddy D and myself will be selecting the offensive and defensive players of the game for both the Ferris Bulldogs and the Bayonne Bees, courtesy of Pamperpo Savings Bank. And the Pamperpo Savings Bank's players of the game will receive a plaque with their name on it and the date of today's contest. Thanks to Pamperpo. Glover right up the gut. Terrence Glover with a first down to the 23-yard line.
In the second quarter, it's been Glover, and more Glover.
Sounds like a law firm of brothers. And the men in the middle, Chiaffo and Saladin, getting a great push. Polinsky had a nice kick-out block. And Glover doesn't need much room to do what he does. 5 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the first half. 8-0 the Bees on top, but they've pretty much controlled the game. This time Glover with not nearly as much success as he tries the left side. Down to the 20-yard line, gain of 3.
Bees are very dangerous right now. It looks like it's
Duval Cheatham is checked back into the football game. So
2nd and 7. The offense could go either way here.
particularly with Cheatham at the helm. Not afraid to throw the football. Devitt is swung out to the far side, Mays to the near side. Looking for Mays. That ball is tipped in the air and almost intercepted. That ball came way short in the direction of Jesse Mays, and right there was Ernest Hargrove waiting for the football, but it never made it out there. So it'll be a 3rd and 7 for the Bees from the 20-yard line. They need to get down to the 13 to pick up a first down. And this might be a situation where John thinks in terms of 2 downs to pick up 7 yards.
It's certainly 4 down territory, John.
Salerno in the backfield, in the fullback position, tailback Glover. Hill swung out to the far side, and it's a reverse option for Hill. He's got a lot of room on the left side. Goodbye, Darius Hill, touchdown.
That was a touchdown as soon as Darius touched the ball in the backfield. The flow of the defense was going the opposite way, exactly how the play was designed.
Hill with the 20-yard jaunt, and it's 14-0, and a brilliant call by John Rickard. That one worked to perfection. And you see at the end of that, a nice block along the right side. I think that was Holinsky, who's having a Nice aim for himself.
Actually, John, I think I gave Coach Rickett that play on Thursday afternoon.
Did you?
Put it in the playbook. Told him to use it late in the second quarter.
Threw it up on the back of a paper plate after lunch. And the snap is good. The kick, not good. And there's a flag down early. Well, there was no flag on the play. 14-0, the Bees leading here, second quarter. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, quarter number 2. This game being brought to you by Cablevision of Mid-Jersey. As you see our snappy little graphics there, the Bees in a, well, it's like a red outline.
It's like a rose outline.
Yeah,
John,
somewhat, yeah. And the Bulldogs in a soft green and Cablevision blue.
Very impressive, very impressive.
Cablevision will stop at nothing to please the viewer. Unfortunately, they have to put guys like me on the air, so not very pleasing to the eye, but when they have graphics like that, it makes up for it. So the 20-yard run by Hill makes it 14-0.
Oh, you're saying that your partner Giorgio is the pretty.
He's going through, I think, his midlife crisis about 10 years early.
I hope he feels pretty after their game with Hoboken this evening.
Well, they used to call us the Big Uglies. The only thing. Cheatham puts the right foot on the leather, and it's going to be Timmy. For all that's gone wrong for Ferris, they're really not out of this football game.
No, they're not, John. Bayonne is controlling the action at this point, but is a victim of its own errors, penalties, and of course the interception deep in Ferris territory.
Jesse Mays down to cover the kick, as well as number 55. And for some reason,
These will turn up the heat now, John.
And they should with the 14-point lead. Don't have number 55 on our roster, so we'll try to clear that up as we move along. He may have been the man who covered the short kickoff off the safety. Swing pass out to the right side, incomplete. That's definitely a case of Franklin wanting to run with the football before he had it in the breadbasket. And it makes it 2nd and 10.
Bees are ready for that play, even if the pass was successful, John.
Don't forget, fans, we'll be here at the Don on Friday night, October 1st. The Memorial Tigers and the Bayonne Bees to do battle in what is really looming now is a very big National Conference matchup. The Bees hoping to go into that contest at 1-1, 1-0 in the National Conference. Still a lot of work to do, and now Ferris calls timeout. You see Dupree with his arms raised skyward, wondering who the heck called the timeout and why. But Mr. Neville says timeout Bulldogs. It's timeout Bulldogs.
This is a tough call for the Ferris offensive coordinator. 2nd and 10, fairly deep in your own territory.
Part of the problem too, Bud, is you seem, or it would seem, that the best thing they could do, or the best opportunity they might have to move the football would be through the air, kind of going downfield, but the quarterback's not getting enough time.
Well, when you're selling out for the run, if you're making penetration, you're also getting to the quarterback if it isn't a run, and that's the situation that Bayonne is enjoying this evening so far.
Got to look at the crowd just moments ago. The Bees using their 2nd timeout, now having 1 remaining in this first half, 4:29 remaining in the contest. Take a look at Jen Johnson, Erin Rachapi, Lindsay Oskowski. You're seeing a lot of those young ladies in a month or two.
Freed's in the gap on the right side.
2nd and 10.
Shot the gap.
Frierson, nothing. Kochanski right there. Salerno right there. And let's see what Phil Saladin also in on the play.
And it all started with Tony Freed, the linebacker, in the gap. He shot the gap, collapsed the offense, opened it up for the 3 other ball players.
And it's Phil Sallin who got in there first. And Tony Freed was holding on to the right ankle. So the Bees continue to stymie this Bulldog offense. Late substitution for the Bulldogs. And they will now rush to the line of scrimmage as that 25-second clock ticking. Two wideouts swung out to the far side. Two backs in the backfield. Freed showing blitz. Stunts up the middle, throwing it downfield, lobbing it up. Hill with a chance for a pick. And it goes through his fingers at the 49-yard line. And again, Jackson under so much pressure, nothing he can do but just throw it up.
No one laid a shoulder on Freed, much to the dismay of the Ferris quarterback.
A lot of different looks from Chris Venetia's defensive club, and you see Freed in a stand-up position in that picture and stunting behind Phil Saladin, and then a good lick.
I believe Chris comes from the Naval Academy. Had at least 2 years of tactics.
And his old coach at Annapolis, Kevin Rogers, now running the show offensively for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who happened to spoil a heck of a trip for me on Saturday afternoon, but that's neither here nor there. End over end, just getting it away were the Bulldogs, and it'll bounce dead at the 46.5-yard line, where the Bees will go to work with 3:19 remaining first half, a 14-0 lead, and one timeout remaining here in half number one. So what do you think, Bud? Put it on the ground, go in 14-0, or do we put it in the air?
It's purely a guess on my part, but I think Coach Rickard may just open up the offense a bit at this point in the second quarter.
Certainly wouldn't surprise the fans at home much, as he's been very aggressive in now 5.5 quarters of this season. And they'll give it to Glover, right side. Glover along the right sideline, he's got a first down, cuts back at the 40, and he's tripped up at the 38-yard line. First down for Bayonne. Glover getting yardage in chunks. Has to have about 60 yards rushing here in the first half.
Having a good night, that's for sure.
John Nagel alerts us at 61 yards rushing. We'll call that unofficial for now. The best part is we don't have anyone here to dispute it. As you see Glover cutting it back in. Frierson had used the sideline as a friend and forced him back inside. Three-step drop over the middle. That pass intended on the slant for Mays, underthrown, and it'll be second down at 10. Clock stops with 2:47 left to go, so plenty of time left to go, Buddy D, with one timeout remaining and only 38 yards to go for a score.
That slant was wide open. Duval just missed it.
And that play relies largely on timing, as most plays do in football, but that one in particular. Mays cut it in. Ball was not there. Eric Nevitt swung out to the near side. Far side Mays. And the quick hitter for Glover. Almost lost the football. Hangs on. Picks up the first down. Across the 25-yard line. First down, Bayonne.
Bayonne defense catches Ferris leaning left, and they run right. And it's working.
You can see a wide open hole.
That would be Ferris's left and Bayonne's right.
It's like standing in a mirror, so I have to get everybody familiar with that, particularly myself. Ferris's left. All right, I think I have it.
So what I do, just diagram it and put it over your head and look at it.
Jim Burton makes me wear a wristband so I know which one's the left and the right. Cheatham to throw, swings one out to Nevin, and let's see, no good. Tough pass attempt for Nevin. Lost his footing a bit, and then couldn't hang on. Ball somewhat underthrown, so it'll be second and 10. 2:08 left to go, first half.
Nevitt, of course, a player for Jack Galatic's varsity B basketball team. His father runs the Pop Warner program in Bayonne, does an outstanding job.
Was the freshman coach last year, a team that very
And is a
successful.
volunteer assistant coach at the varsity level.
Bobby Nevitt, one of the real good people. And they'll pitch it outside the hill on 2nd and 10. He stutter steps, and he is stopped well shy of the line of scrimmage. Frierson was there, and also Magwood. Brandon Magwood has played a heck of a defensive game for the Ferris Bulldogs, and now a timeout taken by the Bees. That is their last timeout. Oh, check that. That may only be their second timeout. Buddy D saying that it's number 2. No, I thought they had used both, but that may not be the case.
I think the last time out was Ferris with the offensive coordinator.
That's right. So then the Bees now unofficially with 1 timeout remaining. And then it would make sense that John would use a timeout now. If he had only 1 remaining, it probably wouldn't be such a good timeout call, but having another one in the bag.
It's important that the Bees score here. It changes the whole complexion of the game. A 14-0 halftime lead is still a game. A 20-21 nothing halftime lead is an entirely different set of circumstances.
In essence, you can really win the football game
right here
for all intents and purposes. That's what Rickard's Bees are going to try to do with a $1:51 left. It has been confirmed that there is 1 timeout now still remaining for the Bees. And they're going to try Nevitt. They fake the reverse option, kept by Cheatham. And Cheatham gets back about 9 yards, so he'll be short of the first down by about 3. And of course, the Bees will go for it with a $1:35 left to go first half.
Little razzle-dazzle by Coach Rickard, who has a sign up in his office that says, "We are an option team." And he's showing it here tonight.
A team of many options. 14-0 Bees on top. It was an 8-yard pass from Cheatham to Bullwith. With 4:52 remaining in the first quarter, that made it 6-0. The extra point was blocked. A safety is Chris Jackson intentionally grounded the football under pressure from Salerno with 22 seconds remaining, made it 8-0. And then a 20-yard run by Darius Hill on a reverse option made it 14-0. And it's going to be close. Looks like Cheatham's got it. If he worked his way across the 15, which it appears he has, it'll be a first down for the Bees at the 14-yard line.
That was second effort by Deval Cheatham. I got that first down, John.
As you see, stymied prior to the first down marker, and he is able to fight his way forward. So excellent replay coverage being provided by the men and women back in the truck. 50 seconds remaining first half now. Bees have to watch the clock, up 14-0. Cheatham to throw, looking for Mays. Lofts that one up, and it is intercepted in the end zone. That one just had too much air underneath it, and the Bees turn it over for the 3rd time in the first half.
Looked like Cheatham tried to throw a fade pattern here. Was under pressure and just let the ball fly. Yes, that's exactly what happened. He was under pressure from his left side and just let the ball fly, but it looked like it was supposed to be a fade pattern.
Yep. And Ernest Hargrove making the interception. Ideally, you want that ball thrown to the outside.
Yes, you do, John. Where only you and the sideline can get it.
So now 38.4 left to go. The Bulldogs with 1 timeout remaining, down by 14. Turned the ball over twice this evening. They may want to play it safe. We'll see. Don't forget, now Jackson with a very strong arm.
I'd be very surprised if they try anything risky here. They should be very happy going in 14-0.
Exactly. Same thing you talked about before. If Bayonne's looking to put them away at 21-0, Ferris has to know they've just dodged the bullet by staying in it. And it'll be Debris, hard running. And on the left side, out to the 27. One of the best running plays they've had all evening.
Well, the Bees defense sitting back, making sure nothing big happened.
So an example of Ferris taking what was available. And 15 seconds remaining. Clock ticking, now down to 10. And this should be the final play of the first half. And they might be able to toss it up now. Pitch handled by Dupree. Tackle at the 35-yard line. Sean Arder making the play, and the clock runs out on the first 24 minutes of action here at the Don.
What's interesting, John, is those last two plays for Ferris, they were in double tight end sets. They were very successful at picking up yardage outside the tackles. Be interesting to see if they continue that in the second half.
Well, we'll see if there is any carryover effect. We're going to carry over Buddy and myself into the third quarter, but now we're going to take a break. We've reached the halfway point, and also the Topolewski, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct.
Sometimes I forget what his last name is. Everybody refers to him as Topo. So the future appears to be bright for the Bees, and right now they hold a 14-0 lead. And you saw the big play in the second half, kind of a pooch kick. That's bizarre to start third quarter action.
They appear to be looking to catch the Bees off guard and create a turnover.
Strange thing about that, there haven't really been any big returns.
That's why I say, John, this was actually to create a turnover, not to prevent a run back.
Yeah, and
let's see if the Bees can handle Ferris's defensive front. They had trouble with the defensive ends, and the safety who acts as an outside linebacker, number one, who they had trouble with the entire first half.
And it's Glover who gets the call up the middle. Chris Candelario right there to make the stop. Had help from a couple of other players. Brandon Magwood was in there. You see him getting up from the pile. Glover had a lot of success running between the tackles. Not so on play number one here in the second half. Actually, Cyprien. Aramis Cyprien. 5'9", 210-pound sophomore.
Ferris is playing his safety as an outside linebacker on the right side, and the Bees offense is having trouble blocking it.
David Campbell makes the tackle on Terrence Glover. Glover now with a couple of carries here to start the second half. 4 yards on the combined 2 carries. And it'll bring up a third down in a long 6 situation. Minute gone by here. Quarter number 3. Bees on top by a score of 14-0. Glad you could join us. John Hester along with Buddy D. Bud Demellier making his maiden voyage in the cable booth. And there's a hit from behind. Loose football. And let's see who has it. Ferris had a couple of cracks at it. And Mr. Magwood seems to think that they've gotten it. And they do. Big hit from behind. Cheatham carrying the football loosely. And I believe it was Dupree with the pursuit from behind.
And also, number one, who's actually playing as an outside linebacker for Ferris, although he's listed as a safety. He's constantly free on the backside. You can see him coming here, John, on the side, and he was right there on creating the fumble. The Bees have not been able to block him.
Great pursuit, and Cheatham really not much of a chance on that one as he was clobbered from behind. And that football shot about 10 yards forward. Big defensive play made by the Ferris Bulldogs. Turnover number 4 by Bayonne, first of the second half. They'll pitch it outside. And going in the wrong direction, Bullwith giving chase at the 27, and Bullwith makes the tackle at the 29. A loss of 15 on the play.
Big difference in Bullwith from last year to this, John. Last year, Bullwith made the penetration, but did not wrap up some ball carries. This year, although it's early, he's making that penetration and wrapping up the ball carry.
And Jose Diaz struggling. Maybe we should give that young man a compass as he is going the wrong direction. 2 carries and unofficially negative 39 yards. So the clock winds. 2:10 gone by, third quarter, and Ferris in a hole again. It'll be second down and 24 yards to go for a first down. Jackson takes the handoff and throws that one outside. Would have been a short gain had he been able to hang on, but he wasn't able to hang on. Joe Christopher breaking up the play.
A well-defensed pass play, John. Everyone was covered.
You just don't get the impression that Ferris isn't going to be able to do much on offense in this football game.
Doesn't appear that way. Doesn't appear that way. Again, they're a very young team trying to find themselves.
And they find themselves at the 3rd and 25 right now. Need to cross midfield and get to the 45-yard line of the Bees, which seems like a mile away from this offense.
It's a dangerous play for Ferris.
They have Tariq Franklin swung out to the near side, one-on-one with Cheatham. They may go there. Back to pass to Jackson. Swing pass outside for Diaz, and he is tripped up at the 26-yard line. Jesse Mays made the play, and that play actually had some potential had Mays not made that play.
In this defense, everybody's man-to-man, and Jesse Mays is sort of like a roving back or a center fielder in Phil Beckerala baseball terms, and he did his job.
So it'll be a 4th and long, and an obvious punting situation for Wright. Hakeem Wright will punt, standing at his 16-yard line. Jesse Mays back at the 46 of the Bees.
They're going to try and get him.
Wow.
And they got him.
Big time block. Phil Saladin catapulted over the upback, and he had company, and he is hurt right now. It was Saladin. Let's see who else. They came in with reckless abandon, and Tony Freed. And one of them appeared to get a piece of the football. They just tried to leapfrog the upbacks. And you see their leg. It looked like they might have blocked it with their feet.
They've been getting closer and closer all game, John.
Well, one thing Rickard's kids play with, and that's no fear, I should say they play without. Man alive. $14-0, Bees on top, 8 minutes and 43 seconds left to go, 3rd quarter. The Bees have just made a big play on special teams, and it'll be Darius Hill. Stopped at the 20, so no gain on the play. And Glover with some conversation with Hill and some of the men in white shirts. Hill running behind Glover. This Ferris defense has stiffened when it has needed to. And once again in there to make the play was Campbell. Campbell and Magwood have done a lot from their linebacker spots. 2nd down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Quick count, fake to Hill, gives it to Glover. Glover's got some room. Glover around the left side. Touchdown, Terrence Glover.
That time, John, they caught number one for Ferris, Frierson, with too much penetration. He ran past the play and allowed the back to break the line of scrimmage and step outside for the score.
Impressive ball fake on the play by Cheatham. He faked it to Hill and then gave it to Glover. And Glover exhibiting excellent speed.
That's that law firm again, John. Glover, Glover, and Glover.
The brothers. And it looks like Cheatham is going to stay in the game, so no extra point attempt. 20-0, the Bees on top, 7:53 remaining 3rd quarter. And it looks like they're going to go for 2. As the kicking game has struggled. 2 failed extra points. 1 was blocked and 1 was missed wide and short right. They'll run out of the eye. Quick count again. They're going to dump one into the end zone, and it is Ulwith who makes the catch for the 2-point conversion. And the Bees now lead by a score of 22-0. Take a look at Kurt Bullwith having himself a nice evening. That's his 3rd catch of the night.
From the tight end in the Bees offense should always be open. At least in the 5 to 7 yard range. And it's showing this evening.
As my father gives me the bogus Mets score, signaling that they're down 4-2, but my Mets now leading 2-1 in the 5th. Every game a big game, Buddy D, down the stretch. And that's what makes these early season football games so much fun, because you have John Nagel with the radio giving us the inning-by-inning updates and the unofficial stats. So,
well, John, I'm a Major League Baseball fan myself, the Yankees.
Oh boy. Well, I really can't say much to you at this point in time, but one organization I can attack is the Los Angeles Dodgers, as I have won a bet this year against Phil Baccarella, going away. Well, he was all happy that he knocked the Giants out of the box. So.
Okay. As long as Baccarella keeps winning baseball games for Bayonne, we'll forgive him his Dodgers.
Exactly. You'll look past the fact that he roots for the Bums. And now the Bees comfortably ahead by a score of 22-0. And Cheatham with a low kick. And it's mishandled again. That is numerous mishandles. And immediately tackled down.
Special teams are having a good night for the Bees. You know, they work very hard on special teams and have for the last 2 years or so. Tom Kuchansky, who is a special team coach, puts a lot of time in. Some of the specialty players, Darius Hill, as you can see, is becoming very quickly a very good high school punter, and that's due to his 12 months of work.
Elazar Jimenez made the tackle on special teams. So it'll be Ferris football. 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. The Bulldogs not much on offense tonight. And they'll take Frierson to the outside. He gets a couple, almost lost the football. Cheatham really grabbing at the pigskin, and ends up being about an 8-yard gain, maybe even more for Frierson. And you take a look at the replay. Frierson does a good job bouncing outside, unable to switch the ball into his left hand, as you'll notice the cast. Ideally, you would love to put the ball in that left outside hand, and shoot, Cheatham almost got it.
Frierson very strong, held onto the ball with one hand.
Excellent play on his behalf. And of course, the wrinkle we've added at Cablevision, instant replay. I believe Rich Smith running the replay deck. Back. Now Barbara is gonna. Sorry, Barbara Holdwin running the instant replays and doing an excellent job. I'm sure Richard Smith doing an excellent job at whatever it is he is doing. And it's going to be a first down out to the 34, so something we haven't seen too much of. A first down for Ferris.
Late play.
Extracurricular activity may cost the Bees 15. So the personal foul against the Bees. Haven't had a penalty in a while. And it would have been a first down already for Ferris. But add 15 yards on it. There's Tony Free was there along with Jesse Mays. Joe Christopher trying to wrest the football away again. The Bees really going after the football. And you can gamble now with a 22-0 lead, trying to get that rock out of there.
You certainly can. What you don't want to give up here is a drive after you have scored.
They've been unable to shake Ferris throughout the night, but you really get the impression that they have this game comfortably in hand. But a big play or two could put that in jeopardy. And by allowing the Bulldogs out of their own end, you're leaving the door open for such a thing. And Diaz, the swing pass, actually again a lateral. We've seen numerous weird plays tonight, most of them involving Mr. Diaz.
That's the second lateral that was fumbled.
I'll tell you, give Jose Diaz a lot of credit too. He struggled tonight, but you see him pursue that football hotly and falls down on it. You see a lot of kids will give up on a play like that after having a rough night. And, not giving up. 5'6", 140 pounds, only a sophomore, so better day certainly ahead for Mr. Diaz. On the 2nd and 17 play.
Counter.
And Frierson getting the call as they run the counter to the right side, as you heard Buddy D call out. Picks up about 4 or 5 yards, but still well short of the original line of scrimmage.
Ferris appears to be using 2 tight ends on almost every play now.
So now it's a 3rd and 14. Ferris needing to get the ball down to the B 41-yard line. keep themselves out of a fourth down situation. The nose of the football on the 45-yard line of the Bulldogs. Nobody swung out to the near side, far side Frierson. Oh, check that, they give it to Frierson, running to the left, cuts it inside, and he's tackled at the 42-yard line. Jesse Mays and Anthony Salerno making the play.
Problem with a double tight end set, if you go wide, you don't have any bodies to block out in front of the ball carrier, and that's what happened on that particular play. There was the ball carrier, one blocker, and 5 Bayonne Bees.
Again, you see the disadvantage that Frierson has with Chansky diving at his feet, but not being able to keep that football where he wants to. Really not able to use his left arm at all. Protect the football, or maybe even put out a stiff arm.
That's all right, he don't need it on defense. He's playing very well on defense.
As he forced the fumble on Cheatham a couple series ago. This is a very game football team. The snap is mishandled, and the Bees, well, it doesn't matter. Irregardless, it'll be Bee football at the 31-yard line. A couple of unhappy Bulldogs. That seemed to be a fairly good snap. Let's see if any problems.
A little high.
He had a second chance at it, and when it hit the ground, that was all she wrote. See, Marion Reeves was the first man there, Joe Christopher, as well as Val Cheatham.
Little high.
As you take a look at the fourth-year head coach of the Bayonne Bees, John Rickard, putting together quite a resume as he resurrected a program that was steeped in a rich tradition but had been on the downswing for quite a while, and picked up the Bees' first winning season in about 9 years in his first season. As he went 5-4, followed that up with a 6-3. And after that, last year 5-5, and looking to even his record at 1-1 this year. But no one knows Bayonne football history better than you, Buddy D, and he really was in a tough spot replacing an absolute legend in Don Ahern, a man who was simply adored throughout this town, and unfortunately due to his illness, probably didn't get to do what he wanted to in his last few years coaching the team, but really replacing a legend regardless of record, it was going to be tough.
Well, John, you're right on 2 counts. First, in your comments concerning Coach Ahern. He's all that you represented. And in terms of Coach Rickard, I'm a little biased. I'm a Rickard guy. I supported John from the beginning. Watched him change the direction of the program. Works very hard. Works 12 months a year at it. Motivates the kids to come out and play football. Example of that is this year was the largest freshman turnout in the last 7, 8, or 9 years. Over 40 kids turning out for freshman football. As we know, that team has won 2 big games. They beat Union 36-0. They beat Ferris 38-0. It's a very, very good football team. And that's how you build a program. And as the succeeding successful freshman teams move up the ladder, right now you have a solid varsity nucleus. The nucleus of this team was an undefeated freshman team 2 years ago. They are now juniors. It's a team that Bullworth was on.
And they should only get better as the years go by. And you got a shot at a somewhat dejected Bulldog on the far sideline. On first down, it's Glover, cuts it up inside, and the Hankies are flying, and they'll probably be holding. And someone's shaken up on the bottom of the pile. It's Candelario, excuse me, favoring the left ankle, possibly knee. He's done a great job up in the middle and walking with a noticeable limp, but a proud young man as he will make his way to the sideline virtually under his own power. You know, football players are tough. They do not want any help getting anywhere. I don't care if they're shot.
Basketball players always looking for help limping off the court. As I
right.
once played that game, I always accepted help.
Basketball, of course, a much more glamorous sport, and it was holding. Referee Neville making the call. So on the 2nd and long, It's Joe Christopher along the right side. Christopher at the sideline. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. "39-yard touchdown run." Flag down on the play very late in this sequence, and it appears they're going to be bringing it back. Now, the infraction was committed very close to the goal line, so not all of the yardage will be lost, but the touchdown will be called back. And Joe Christopher, here's a guy who started at quarterback, replaced by Cheatham, and look what a weapon he is as a running back.
We have a versatile dead ball foul. Touchdown count.
So a 39-yard touchdown run by Joe Christopher. So that penalty will make this extra point a very difficult extra point. Now, if you're Rickard, do you try to maybe see if you have the ability to kick a field goal from this distance, which is unlikely, or do you test out a play you may use in this situation, maybe a 4th and goal from this distance? Or do you not show it at this point in the game? What do you do?
We don't have anybody with the leg to kick from this distance, I don't believe.
No, they're going to elect to go for 2. Really not much of a choice. Rolling out to the right is Cheatham, under pressure, lobs it down the middle, and that is almost caught. Jesse Mays coming back across the field made a nice attempt at the football. And we're going to take another look at this touchdown run. And one of the things they had to really respect was the dive play and take the option. Might have been a little bit of a hold there on the right side. And Christopher,
great straight on by Christopher.
Talking about Frierson not having the ability to do that, comes in very handy. And then Wright, really no chance to catch Christopher as he turned the sidelines very well.
Well, Christopher certainly shows his versatility. Started the game at quarterback, and now has a touchdown out of the tailback position.
Well, it's now 28-0 in favor of the Bayonne Bees. We want to remind the fans that this game being supported, as always, by Pamlico Savings Bank, Bayonne's community bank. At the conclusion of this contest, Buddy D and myself will vote on and then award an offensive and defensive player of the game, bearing the name of Pamlico Savings Bank, the player and the date of this contest. Pamlico Savings Bank, Bayonne's community bank. I want to thank Judy McAuliffe, all that she has done for us, and we wish she would just show up just one time at one of the events she's invited to. Is that kickoff is called back, but John Rickard, Jeff Stabile, and a lot of the Bayonne coaches, and also Billy DeFazio at Maris, the girls coach, have made a concerted effort to reach out back to Pamlico and say thank you, and inviting them to various events. We've got Mr. Campbell's son. We've gotten Ms. Rentis, who's since been married, and I don't know her married name, who's Jamie Rentis, who's shown up a few times, but Mr. Campbell himself showed up on Thanksgiving Day. We haven't gotten Judy McAuliffe, who really, she's the liaison who gets it all done, so hopefully one of these days Judy will be here and you can say thank you, and anybody who knows Judy or Mr. Campbell or any of the names I just mentioned, please feel free to thank them for what they do in terms of supporting the young people of Bayonne. So Cheatham will kick it from 5 yards deeper from the 35. And a flag will go down against Bayonne, and that's a careless penalty. It's going to be a late hit. The official call spearing, so maybe not the hit, not the timing of the hit so much as the manner of the hit and the timing. And you'll see the kickoff. The wind seems to be blowing in the face, actually clearly blowing from right to left, so that kick was cut down somewhat. Lamont Wade coming up to the field, that mishandled it, and it appeared that Elizar Jimenez threw a helmet into him. Now once he's down, the play's over. So right there, the play's over, and then it's Jimenez with the helmet.
But the Bayonne player, John, thought the ball was loose. I think that was a very shaky call. That's the boss says call him like you see him, and I saw that as a shaky call.
So the first controversy for our new announcer. We pulled him out of the stable of Cablevision announcers, and another flag is down as the hookup attempt between Barbosa and Chris Jackson fails. Well, something weird going on this field right now. Things getting awful chippy. The Bees comfortably ahead 28-0. And it'll be a personal foul against Ferris. So they have to be obviously frustrated at what's taking place. They've been stymied all night. I think Coach Rickard has to be careful not to let his kids get too wrapped up in all this stuff, because certainly don't want penalties to become a habit. And on top of that, if you get involved in anything really silly, you may not have a player for a game or two.
You're right, John. This has been a very long game.
It has.
It's still 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the third quarter. A lot of stoppages throughout the game for incidents such as that. You really have to get it on in the fourth quarter and keep the flags in the referee's pockets by playing good, solid, clean football.
Back to pass, Jackson, and a hit right there, Mays. Ryerson gets belted by Mays, and Jesse read that play from the word go.
Jesse is free to roam in that defense. In that case, he wasn't the center fielder. He was more like the right fielder. He reads the defense and goes to the ball.
Along the right flat, making the play. Jesse Mays, last year, solid defensive player, great athlete, now playing both ways. Really being able to showcase his talents, making a spectacular 32-yard catch for a first down on a 3rd and 30 earlier in this game. And numerous plays on defense. Out of the shotgun formation will be Jackson. He's looking deep downfield. He's got a man, and it's Ryerson. Makes the catch at the 40, foot race at the 30, and he's dragged down at the 21-yard line. Jackson to Ernest Hargrove it was, not Frierson. Ernest Hargrove making the catch on the long pass from Jackson.
40 yards in the air and on the money, John.
So it's 65 seconds left. Ferris with their deepest penetration of the game, and you said it, Buddy D. He could really throw this football. You give him some time, he'll be dangerous. Still gets whacked after the play. Great camera work too. And Hargrove actually made up some on that. He was even with the defender, and then a couple of extra steps. Great camera work. I don't know if that was Louis Serbio or who that was, and the pass out in the flat, incomplete, but excellent job. It was Jennifer Baruti working the replay camera right on top of that, and I'll tell you, the replay is something excellent to have.
It certainly adds something to the telecast. I remember last year sitting home and watching him play and saying, geez, I wish I could see that again. And this year, Cablevision provides.
There they go. Jim Burton, like the UPS man, he delivers. You want replay? You got it.
They have a saying around Bayonne, Jim Burton, that's a good man.
And I don't think anyone here would dispute that. Now running out of a tight formation. 31 seconds left to go, 2nd and 10. Jackson back to pass, looking back the other way, and overthrew that pass. Looking for Hargrove. Cheatham was right there, as well as Jesse Mays. The only success they've had, Buddy, is throwing the ball vertically, going down the field.
Well, they're young. They're not as quick as Bayonne. And when you take the lack of quickness against Bayonne, as well as the inexperience, it takes away a lot of the things that you can do on a football field.
Well, it would do a lot for the confidence of the Bulldogs if they can get in here now. Down by a score of 28-0. 25 seconds remaining, 3rd and 10. They need to get to around the 10-yard line in order to pick up a first down.
One down the middle.
Jackson throwing it down the middle and almost picked off by Christopher. Backpedaling, got his right hand on it, and the clock stops at 17 remaining. So it'll now be a 4th down and 10. And you see from the shotgun, Jackson still has to get rid of that ball, throws off his back foot, man in his face.
But in that play, John, Pearson was wide open down the middle as he came out of the backfield. And by bringing in 2 wide receivers to the middle of the field, they allowed 2 Bayonne defenders to cover that play, whereas Ferris up the middle may have been open.
No separation by the wideouts from the Ferris Bulldogs. And now a 4th and 10. Still need to get down to the 10 to keep this drive alive. Trailing 28-0. They're going to loft it up in the corner. Incomplete. Right there, step for step, was Cheatham. Tariq Franklin, the intended receiver. And with 11.4 seconds remaining 3rd quarter, the Bees will take over on downs.
A lot of people in Bayonne missing the Giorgio, coming in the booth, inquiring about his whereabouts, hoping he's well. As Tom Jacobson, former assistant varsity basketball coach, came in.
Somewhat stunned not to find Paul here.
Tom is now the physical education director at Bayonne High School, and what a fine job he does.
He's a big fan of the Cablevision programs, from what I understand.
Loves the instant replay. Just told me that the other day.
How can you not love the instant replay? And first back through is Christopher, fresh off his touchdown run, and he appears to have a first down for Bayonne as they'll stop the clock. Either measure or move the chains. We have not had a measurement so far this evening.
Well, in the first half, it was the law firm of Glover, and Glover. Second half, it's the law firm of Christopher, and Christopher.
Maybe one Glover.
Always good to have more than one law firm on your side.
You need more than one lawyer, that's for sure. And that siren in the background signals the end of play in quarter number 3 as you see Joe Christopher landing just past the first down. And the teams will take a little time out. Want to remind the fans, next Friday the Memorial Tigers come a-calling. The much improved Memorial Tigers, a team that the Bees struggled with into the second half up at Miller Stadium last year. They'll get a chance to redeem themselves next Friday. And we want to remind all fans who come with a non-perishable food item or a garment of some kind to help support the flood victims of Bound Brook, they will be admitted into the Don for free. That's non-perishable food items and garments to help the victims of Bound Brook. And we were very fortunate not to get hit by the brunt of Floyd and Bound Brook. Many, many houses destroyed and many lives changed forever. So if you can, it may seem like it's a ways away, but it's really not that far. It could have been us. And the best way you can say thanks to the powers that be is to try to help out those that are less fortunate.
Oh, you're right, John. It could have been us by a mere 20 miles.
Absolutely. And much to their credit, Bound Brook actually went out and played on Tuesday night and won. Their football team on the road. First and 10, first play of the 4th quarter. Spin move by Kachansky. And he picks up 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6, and we have an injured Ferris Bulldog. Well, now he gets up. That's Eric Douglas, the senior, 5'9", 185 pounds. And he's able to get to his feet. Another look at that play.
Now, Bayonne has an entirely different backfield in the game now than they had at the start of the game. Duval is quarterbacking, Kachansky running at a fullback spot. I'm trying to catch the number of the tailback. Is that Darrett?
That's Christopher.
That's Christopher at tailback.
Kachansky.
They started the game with Christopher at quarterback, and I believe we had Glover running at tailback and Kachansky at fullback.
Well, John was hoping to give Glover a rest. Was really considering holding him out of this contest, but Glover did a lot of pleading to play and proved himself healthy, and after not playing the first play or two, entered the game and was very effective, but now comfortably ahead at 28-0, affording John the luxury of sitting down some of his regulars who might be a little bit banged up.
Cheatham on a keep it.
And the flag goes down. Cheatham, 39-yard line. And what do you have for us, buddy?
Looks like a illegal block.
Well, it's holding, and that'll bring that play back. John's also in a bit of a bind. Probably wants to get Joe Christopher some snaps behind center, but let's not forget Cheatham. This is only his second game, so want to get him as many reps as possible too in real action.
It's pretty much a two-quarterback system at this point by design, and it seems to be working fairly well.
And even after the penalty, Jake alerts me to the fact that it is still a first down. So the penalty yardage assessed from the point of the infraction.
Now it affords Coach Ricketts the opportunity to rest Glover a little bit for the following weeks so he doesn't get too banged up.
Good to see harmony on the sidelines.
Got the Ferris Bulldog and the Bayonne B.
Can't we all just get along as they play nicely amongst the cheerleaders of both teams?
Sure.
And that's what it's all about, right? Penalty on Bayonne. And the last thing we need in a game that has dragged from start to finish. A lot of penalties in the fourth quarter of a 28-0 game.
So that may allow your regular color commentator to get back here and do the last 2 minutes.
Don't dare him, because he will. You know, Jim Burton, who's listening in the truck, he knows. First call I'm going to get tomorrow morning is from Paul Giorgio. Is my job still safe? Jim Burton was even more accurate. He said that'll be the last call I get before I hit the pillow tonight. That's probably true. Don't be surprised if you see him walking up the stairs, although he did tell me if he pulls off the victory against Hoboken, he may be streaking along Kennedy Boulevard, because that would be some win for that program that is much improved with Tom Ferraro at the helm.
That's true, but I don't believe he'll be streaking along Kennedy Boulevard.
And I don't think that's any way to punish. We didn't do anything to anybody, so there's no need for that. They'll run out of the eye again. And Cheatham on the keeper, and he slipped down. Might have had a lane short of midfield at the 48, and it'll be 3rd down and 12.
Well, the more Ferris had to concentrate on tackle in Bayonne's running game, the better Bayonne was able to get outside. As the game progressed, they did get outside. Christopher's touchdown run being the shining example.
Bayonne just a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, and a little bit more experience, and it all adds up to a 28-0 victory.
Little tough cutting in the middle of the field.
Shouldn't say victory, 28-0 lead at this point.
No, you're right the first time.
Buddy D has the under on this one, I think. You already told us you don't do that stuff. Oh boy. And it'll be Darius Hill in the punt. Darius got off a bomb that led to a safety. And another flag. Well, as the Bees take one of their remaining timeouts, 7 minutes and 37 seconds remaining to go in this contest, we're going to take a timeout with them. The Bees comfortably ahead by a score of 28-0. Turn out to the 25-yard line. Ferris will go to work down by 4 touchdowns. 7:18 remaining, and it's getting about hammer post time because we have to select the offensive and defensive players of the game. So not just yet, but if you can begin calculating in your head who we may pick to be the Pamlico Savings Bank players of the game. And again, John Lennon would be proud. Give peace a chance, and it is working here at the Don on a magnificent September Friday night. Bees on top 28-0.
Not doing except for one breakdown against Union last week. Special teams for Bayonne have really been showing an improvement.
And we'll get into that in just a second because Buddy D can certainly shed some light on that. Makes perfect sense. Off the pitch, Salerno with great penetration. Dupree breaks a couple of tackles and carries a few would-be tacklers on his back across the 30 out to the 32. Dupree has been a horse.
Good one.
Getting back to the breakdown on special teams, you made a good point. Lack of depth certainly hurts the special teams.
Yes, it does. Sometimes if you don't have depth, you have to use inexperienced and younger players. Sometimes that may cause a breakdown until they gain that experience. And that's what probably happened against Union. But by and large, Bayonne special team players improved greatly over the last 2 years.
You saw Dupree with that second and third effort, the brother of Rodell Dupree, one of the very best to come through the county in quite some time. Frierson is tripped up, maybe got a yard.
Look, the reason for that too, John, is that coming down here first week in August, seeing all the kids out there in shorts working on special teams with the coaching staff. As I mentioned before, Tom Chansky is the special teams coach, and he does a very good job all year round.
Sean Arter has headed to the sideline. He's done a nice job filling in for Terrence Glover. 3rd down and 4. Jackson's directing traffic in his own backfield. Clock ticking. 5:10 remaining 4th quarter. Jackson will roll out to his right. Puts on the brakes, flips one to the 40-yard line at the feet of Hargrove, incomplete. And he'll bring up another punting situation. Ferris may eschew the punt and attempt to go for it.
No, John, it's a shame that more people don't come to these games. These kids work hard to put on the best performance. The mic was going in and out. They work hard to put on the best performance that they can, not only in football, but in every athletic team that Bayonne puts on the field. From the perennial champion girls basketball team to the perennial champion girls soccer team that Bayonne has. And more people should come in.
Certainly should, and we'll be here tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact, as Bayonne takes on Elizabeth, 11 a.m. So if you're watching this game Saturday morning, come on down. And the 4th down play is stopped. Brian Holinsky was there playing some defense. And we have to get number 55. Don't know who that is. Not on the roster. Oh, no, that's Ferris. We're going to have to find out who the mystery man is because number 55 did a fairly good job himself. And it'll be Bayonne ball with 4 minutes, 25 seconds left, and they will just look to run out the clock. So it'll be Bayonne and Elizabeth Saturday morning, soccer. Paul Giorgio and myself, and Buddy D will take the day off. Buddy D, at this stage of the game, not doing day games after night games. Understandable.
Well, actually, I'm traveling, John, in North Bergen. My nephew, an inside linebacker, for one of the Bayonne traveling teams. And they play one of the North Bergen teams tomorrow morning. So I return to my alma mater, North Bergen, to cheer the traveling Bayonne Top Hornet team going to victory.
Salerno getting the carry, picking up the 1st down. What is the current state of some of the Bayonne junior teams?
They do very well. As I said before, Bob Nett runs the program. He runs the league. He also coaches the team that my nephew, John Cook, plays inside linebacker on. And they do very well. The junior Bs are perennial winners. And most of the smaller traveling teams have enjoyed large successes over the last couple of years. And they're feeder programs to, obviously, to the high school team. Years past, we lost quite a few players to other high schools, parochial high schools. This year was one of the few years that we held on to most of our star junior players. In fact, I believe all players from the junior team came to Bayonne, with the exception of one. So that's a good trend. Very difficult to play championship football when all your young talent is leaving for various parochial schools in New York. Not that parochial schools don't give good education, but just in terms of athletic competition, you would like to keep those players home as they would get a very good education at Bayonne High School. Bayonne High School being a star school in New Jersey, which is an outstanding achievement. I say that as a very proud member of the Bayonne Board of Education.
Buddy B getting in all the pops that need to be gotten. And you take a look, the cheerleaders having a lot of fun. You mentioned coming out to the game on a Friday night. Weather's beautiful. Not only do you have a football game, you have the cheerleaders from both squads, you have the bands many times from both squads, but at the very least you have the Bayonne band. A lot of stuff going on to entertain young and old. 3:01 remaining, and it'll be Darius Hill right side. Hill bounces out, flag goes down. Hill still on his feet, and Hill makes his way toward the pylon. Tackled at the 1 yard line, but it will be coming back, holding against the boys in red. And well, let's start to talk about the offensive and defensive players of the game. I'd have to nominate defensively Ferris. I thought that the inside linebacker Brandon Magwood did an excellent job.
So my vote would have to go to, who is that number one?
Number one was Gerald Frierson.
I think Gerald dictated the way Bayonne could run for almost an entire half. He was constantly in the backfield, caused at least one fumble, and certainly deserves my vote. However, I will defer to you.
Well, we'll give you Gerald Frierson. He made the big interception down.
I won't argue with you like your regular partner always does. I will defer to you.
Well, this is a very amicable relationship we have, so we'll do Gerald Frierson because he did have the big play that kept his team in the game early on. And offensively, how about Dupree, who was really the only guy doing anything in terms of running the football?
Yes, I would go. Okay. I would go with it.
All right, so we have Dupree and Frierson for Ferris. Now for the home team. How about you bring up a name defensively for the Bayonne Bees? You can name a lot. Jesse Mays had quite a few plays. And Phil Saladin, Tony Freed on special teams, Kurt Bullwith, the force in the first quarter. That's going to be a tough choice. Of course, Bullwith got it last week, so we want to try to spread the wealth. Cheatham on 3rd and 15 takes it outside.
Well, my mic was out for a while, but I'm back, as they say, John. So my vote would go to Jesse Mays.
That's good. So we agree. And now on offense. A couple different ways we can go. And we're going to probably try to see if we can break it up. Now, I know Terrence Glover ran the ball real well. Kurt Bullwith, a couple of receptions. Cheatham threw the ball fairly well. Joe Christopher with a nice run. Darius Hill.
But it's a tough call because you have, it actually split in halves. You had first half, obviously, you had Glover. In the second half, you had JoJo Christopher. Then you had Bullwith with a couple catches. I believe he has a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, which is 8 points. So it's a very tough call. You almost want to split it up, but I know that's not possible. So I would go with JoJo Christopher on the strength of that long touchdown.
Fair enough. So JoJo Christopher it is. So there you have it, as you get to see the process firsthand. The offensive and defensive players of the game, the Pamlico Savings Bank players of the game. For Ferris defensively, Gerald Frierson, who had the big interception that kept his team in the game, and Michael Dupree on offense. For the Bayonne Bees, Jesse Mays, numerous tackles and stops on the defensive side, and offensively, JoJo Christopher, who had the final score of the contest, a 39-yard jaunt along the right sideline. And these 4 young men will receive a plaque from Pamlico Savings Bank at some point during the season. Still in negotiations with Crown Trophy.
With those thumbs up, meaning the Mets won? Is that?
No, actually, a thumbs up was John Nagel, always trying to help us in our press, letting the fans at the game know that the Power Pro Savings Bank player of the game were who they were. We don't have a Mets score. Actually, if we can try to get one, it's getting late.
Well, the party's not over, but the refreshments are gone, John.
You better not start singing. Jim won't let you back then. And out of the shotgun, Jackson, he cranks this one up for grabs. And it's caught at the 42-yard line and taken down at the 40, Tariq Franklin.
That was a good completion late in the game, but it doesn't change the facts. One of my all-time favorites used to say on Monday evening, the party's over, the guests are leaving.
Here he goes. Turn off the mics. The announcers are singing. With 20 seconds remaining, the Bees looking to pitch a shutout as they will improve to 1-1. This one a bit of a wounded duck and almost caught at the 19-yard line. That was Hargrove. So Ferris will probably get 2 more cracks at the end zone. And a flag goes down. And whoever that flag is on, very silly penalty if you take a look at the replay. Jackson didn't really get a lot on this one.
The wind has picked up a little, John. He threw it high. I think he got too much wind under it.
Yeah. Even if you can throw the ball nose down, you have a good chance.
The Bayonne secondary is the younger players right now.
Bees have not scored here in the fourth quarter. So the penalty against the Bees will put the shutout in jeopardy. That's the only thing that remains in question here. 12.1 seconds remaining. Bees on top, 28-0. The defense wanting a shutout. The hitch and go, and that one is going to be picked off at the 14-yard line. And that is Gutierrez, Pat Gutierrez, picking it off. Not seeing much time, but when he did, he made a play. And now you can say. Well, overall, a pretty thorough effort by Bayonne. They beat a team they were supposed to beat. They beat them convincingly. Game never really in doubt. Struggled a little bit putting it away in the first half, but really put it in cruise control late third quarter and throughout the fourth.
I think teams know who they're playing against when they're out there, and Bayonne could have been sharper. Probably believe they didn't have to be sharper. That's a mistake, but that's probably what happened out here this evening. But otherwise, did the job that they had to do. They're going to have to be much sharper in the weeks to come against the likes of St. Peter's and North Bergen and Dickinson. Certainly next week with Memorial, as Memorial comes down on the bay to B Country.
That's right, and it will be October 1st. And don't forget, fans, everybody coming in, bringing a garment of clothing, a garment or food, non-perishable, will get in for free. The offensive players of the game for Ferris, it was Michael Dupree, and for Bayonne, Joe Christopher. The Power Pro Savings Bank players of the game, and the defensive players of the game, courtesy of Power Pro Savings Bank, was Gerald Frierson for the visiting Bulldogs and Jesse Mays for Bayonne High School. Let's go over the scoring real quick. First quarter, an 8-yard pass from Cheatham to Fulwith with 4:52 remaining, made it 6-0. The extra point was blocked. And that was after the second Ferris turnover. Bees didn't cash in on the first. Turned it over. They were ahead 6-0. Then Darius Hill got off a booming punt that drove Perez back into his own goal line. Unwisely tried to take it out of the end zone. Got stopped at the 1. The Bees would then force an intentional grounding in the end zone by Jackson. It was really Salerno who was about to make the sack. Good for 2 points and an 8-0 lead near the end of the first quarter. A 20-yard run by Darius Hill, probably the play of the game, on the reverse pitch, made it 14-0, and that was the score going into the half.
And it should have been more than that if you were a Bayonne Bee fan, and if you were a Ferris fan, you had to feel lucky and feel like you were still in the game. Your defense was playing well. You were getting outstanding plays from your defensive end, your outside linebackers. So you had to feel confident you may get back into the game.
Well, the Bees would not let Ferris entertain any ideas of a comeback, however, in the third quarter. The third quarter, clearly their best. A 20-yard run by Glover with 7:53 remaining, and then the Cheatham to Bullwith pass on the conversion made it 22-0. And then the 39-yard run by Joe Christopher along the right sideline. Conversion failed. With 3:09 remaining, third quarter made it 28-0. Helped earn Joe Christopher the Offensive Player of the Game award. And it was 28-0, and the Bees would put the football away the rest of the game and come away with a solid 28-0 victory. But as Buddy D mentioned, next week it'll be Memorial Tigers. Follow that with a trip to a trip to North Bergen, then a trip to Union Hill, then St. Peter's Prep comes for a visit. Then you go down to Jersey City to take on Dickinson. It doesn't get any easier.
No, it doesn't. Not when you're looking to win in the national conference and to get a state playoff spot. It does not. When you're traveling to a place like North Bergen very rarely loses there. When I was here, we didn't have a home stadium, played in Union City. But when they built the new stadium, North Bergen they just said it's our house and we're not losing much here. They're very difficult up there. But we played them 2 years ago, 0-0 inside a minute to go. So we have to feel confident that we give a game, even though it is in the Bruins' lair.
Well, the last two were very tough between the Bees. Last year, a high-scoring contest, as Buddy alluded to. The 7-0 contest. Well, actually, it turned out 13-0, but really very, very close game.
Union Hill handled this last year pretty well, but they lost some people graduation. Obviously, St. Peter's actually led us in the fourth quarter before Jamal Wood took the team on his back and almost single-handedly led them to victory. So it is a very, very tough road ahead.
Well, Buddy, we thank you very much for filling in quite capably for Paul Giorgio, and we'd love to have you back if the schedule comes up again, and Paul will be on the sideline.
Well, as Phil Baccarella likes to say about me, John, I'm with you, winter time. It's been a pleasure.
Very good, and tonight was a win, so we have a chance to see Buddy D again. Well, that will do it for us from here for the crack crew that provided the sights and sounds of this evening's game. Lou Servio, executive producer, was Francisco Saldana. Producer Jim Burton. Director Jim Burton, man of many hats.